Hello again. Welcome to Ducktales. I think this is going to be episode 4. Hopefully, it's getting better. Today, I am not interviewing Bia. Bia is actually going to interview me about a feature that's fun that I think you'll enjoy. But Bia, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Bia. I'm on the product team here at DuckDuckGo. Been here about 6 years, so I've seen a lot of things that have happened in recent DuckDuckGo product history. And
Yes, indeed.
yeah, delight is a favorite topic, a theme of mine. So I'm glad to be doing this conversation.
Yes. Speaking of delight, my favorite dog is behind you. I don't have a dog.
He's your favorite.
Well, I don't have a dog, and that's the dog I interact with most.
Certainly
Friday.
the one that attacks you the most, playfully
That's
attacks you the
that's
most.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bar
Yes,
might be low.
that's Friday, everyone. He is usually not so low energy as he looks right now.
But yes, so I forgot to say DuckTales is obviously inside DuckDuckGo, behind the scenes kind of information about things we're doing and how the company works and features we're building and all that kind of stuff. And as you noted, we have a delightful feature that we'd like to talk about today. But I worked on it. It was actually part of Hack Days. We had a previous episode. It was also a feature came out of Hack Days. But yeah, shoot some questions at me and I will respond.
Sure. Tell us the origin, Gabriel. How did you come to decide to work on this?
Yes. So, what are we talking about? First of all, if you search some special words, often characters like Spider Man, Batman kind of thing, um, the logo, our logo, Dax the duck, for those people who don't know, will change and he will be costumed in that character in the little logo on the search engine. Um, and we actually did this a long time ago. So we used to do like our version of Google Doodles or whatever on the homepage, maybe like literally 15 years ago at this point, up until maybe 2012 ish. We stopped doing it because it was hard to do. It took a lot of time to make the especially logos. It also confused a lot of people because we put it up in like kind of random situations, like someone
Hmm.
may have died or a holiday or something, and people who didn't know about that person or holiday were just like, "What is going on with this?" But a lot of people really liked it, and especially liked just the idea and the fun. I would call delight, as we're gonna get to, of the changing logo and the just the funness of dressing up a character. Um, and I also am in that category. So I've been wanting to bring this back for like 10 years, but had no great way to do it. And then enter AI. Um, I thought that AI could be useful of making these specialty logos in some way. Um, when I first tried it, it was not, and I tried different versions of image models. But then finally, I was Hack Days a few months ago, got it to work. And so now we've been making them on suggestions of the community and team members and putting them up as Easter eggs. Yeah.
Do you want to just say what Hack Days is for anybody who doesn't know?
Yeah. So Hack Days is every quarter. Anyone who wants to participate in the company, and you're about 300 people at this point, maybe 350 or something, um, can get together and create work on anything they want. Really, it often is like features, ideas, and maybe designer, engineer, new. Don't have to be a product person, but they don't have to be engineering a product. They could just join and collaborate, come up with something exciting. It could be like little things like fixing bugs or things in our product, but often like things that people are really excited about, like this for me. I actually tried it in two different ways. I wanted to do this idea, but I also wanted to get back into programming and try out all the AI programming tools. So in doing this, I actually used AI for the first time, like end to end, to like write the code and everything for it.
What AI tools did you use?
I used Cursor to kind of manage the creation of the tool, and then I used the ChatGPT Create Image API to really be the generation of this. I can share my screen a little bit. We can
Yeah.
look at it a little bit.
Show us some.
Yeah, let me do that. Sharing screen window. Okay. Let me actually do it this way. Okay. Can you see this?
I can.
Sweet. Okay. So this is one of my favorites. So if you search the dude, which is a character from The Big Lebowski, let me move this so I can see you still. And you put your mouse over, you can see Dax is now decked out in the sweater and the sunglasses. And I put this in a new tab so you can see it zoomed in a bit. So this is kind of the idea. A few of my other favorite ones, so you can get the ideas. If you search Hydra, you get this, duck multi-tax, if you will. Moonanites, for those who don't know, that's an Aqua Teen Hunger Force character.
I definitely knew that, just for the record.
Are you serious? You knew it or you didn't know it?
I did not know that.
You might have noticed there's a big Moonanites poster in our office. You walk through because we go there sometimes. And then final one I throw up is the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. I just like the idea that Dax is a duck, but you can also make this work with like a mixture of animals, which is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple things I want to point out.
How did you decide how did you figure out who to do this for? What characters to do this for?
Yes. Best part about this is I didn't, for the most part. I put this up and we came up with some guidelines internally. Like we're not doing alive people, that kind of thing, mainly characters. And I just asked for suggestions internally. Once I had like initial set, I posted it and I've been getting internal suggestions from the get-go. So at this point, I just go every few weeks and there's magically more suggestions from our team members in there. And I haven't heard of, I would say, 60% of them. And I will just kind of make them happen. The tool that does that, just to show you this a little bit, which is kind of fun, is so this is an internal tool. I did this for suggestions that are real suggestions right now. So this is like internal stuff. These might come. I have no idea what Podman is, by the way. I just said this morning. So what our internal tool does is I literally just gave it the word Athena, and it based on this big image prompt that I can show you in a minute, and it'll generate 10 or however many I suggest variations, and then we'll pick one that seems like it matches the best. Sometimes about 50% of the time, it's pretty good off the get-go like this. And then another 50% of the time, it doesn't know what to do. Like there's mustaches all over the place. We can talk about that. I don't know what Podman is exactly, but I'm assuming none of this is great for it. So what I'm going to have to do for this one is figure out what Podman is and then give it a little more instruction.
Right.
And this is another one that I think is kind of working for the most part. Wednesday Adams.
That's pretty good.
Looks a little angry, so like we want to keep it friendly. So I probably will give a little suggestion about that.
Do you want to talk about the mustache problem?
Yeah. So you pointed this out after we had about 100 that like AI is really bad at placing mustaches on decks. It like you could see in the array of these, we didn't even ask for a mustache on this one. But like this one's like on the beak.
Yeah.
This one's in the beak, I guess. He's eating it.
Yes, those are my favorite when they're eating their own mustache.
I've been trying to just avoid it at this point.
My theory tell me how outlandish this is. My theory is that the internet doesn't have a lot of pictures of ducks with mustaches, and thus the training material is inadequate. Although I think with this initiative, we're probably improving on that.
I think it's a good theory. I have definitely tried. I tried for like a couple of days to like get better mustache instructions, and it did not work. Couple other things I wanted to highlight. So what's actually been most fun about this now is because the intention was to delight people from Easter eggs. The community, especially our subreddit, very excited about this. Um, so much so, especially this one community member, Jean. Actually, I don't know how to pronounce it, so I might get this wrong. I think they might be French. Sean Mack. Apologies if I did that wrong. Actually, has made a website um, categorizing all the ones that they've found, and like taking suggestions, but also taking suggestions, which is going to be helpful for us. But what's been fun is they've been trying to find them. We haven't told them which ones exist. So there is infinite theoretical possibilities here. We haven't even really told them how many there are, but I think we should reveal it on this podcast. Um, we have our own internal logo file, this one. So I'm not going to show them all of them, but there might be one on this page that they haven't seen. But at the bottom, I have my own count here. There's 364 currently. And their
The big
count,
reveal.
yes, their count is 322. So that is 44 that they need to find, or that are out there to find, I guess.
But by next week, the number might be larger.
Yes,
Is that
it
right?
probably will be larger. That is correct. And then the one last thing I wanted to show you, which you might find interesting. It's a different screen. Let's see here. This is actual code, but I'm not actually gonna go crazy with the code. I just wanted to show, because I think it might be interesting, um, how this works, the prompt. So it's it was a lot of iteration to actually get it to work. And this is the current prompt, which changes a little bit, but it basically takes our logo and it takes in at the end. If I make this a little bigger, to the whole thing, it plugs in the theme that you give it at the end and any additional guidance. But this whole part here is just instructions of getting it to modify our current logo in a way that tries to keep like the beak structure intact, like the parts of the logo intact that are important, but add things to the theme. And this, we don't need to walk through this or anything, but this is kind of an example of what a kind of evolved deep AI prompt looks like that is doing this thing.
Nice.
Cool. All right. I'm gonna stop sharing. So I know we were also going to talk a little bit about delight, because this feature is intended to delight, but at a higher level, we as a company have a focus on delight this year and probably next year. Not, we always want to delight users, but we have a particular focus on trying to build in delight into our product. I know you've been thinking a lot about that. This is a good example of it, but generally, any thoughts you can give us on delight?
Yeah. I mean, first, like, maybe it's worth just defining what I think delight means, what product delight is. It's not a very fancy definition. I just think it's product experiences that make people feel good. So you can have product experiences that work in the sense that they accomplish some goal or meet some, acceptance criteria, but they don't make people feel good. Maybe they make people feel grumpy or frustrated or sad, or maybe just they don't make people feel anything. And that's fine sometimes, but it's nice to feel good. We're humans and not robots. And it is good to use products and interact with the world in a way that makes you feel things and feels delight and joy. And so we want that. And I think it's tricky in lots of ways. One is that different people feel good about different things. And so that's been an interesting challenge, is trying to figure out, like, what are the forms of delight that we think are going to meet our users where they're at, given we have an extremely diverse user base, and we value that and value the differences in that user base. But I think we've had some good successes. I can give a few examples of places where we have delight in our product.
Please. Wait, question for you. Do you think, I mean, I think delight's wider than, the Easter egg kind of stuff is delight in things that you find that are unexpected that make you feel good. But I also think of delight, I think you think the same way, but let me know if not. It could be a really just good, polished, regular workflow, you'd have to notice it. I think you have to notice
Yeah.
it, you're saying, to feel delightful, but it could be more just a regular product thing,
Yeah.
not like this like special thing, you know?
I think so. I mean, I think in fact the best forms of delight actually make the product work better for you than it would if you did it in a non-delightful way. So like when you can like find the intersection of um, the product actually delivering on on its promise and doing so in a like somewhat surprising, delightful way that makes you feel something. I think that's the top of the pyramid of good delight. Um,
Like this
and
app just like accomplished what I wanted to accomplish and it did it amazingly. I just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think I think sometimes that can just come in the form of like really nice touches and polish, and I think sometimes I think there's just like a whole spectrum of how you can do that. An example maybe that's like not super obvious in this respect. Um, the way that you clear data in the DuckDuckGo browser is with the fire button. And so there we're using like an analogy and something from the natural world to do something that you can do in other browsers. But we're also like bringing it forward so that it's just like always there and one tap away. We gave it like a personality, and I think that's delightful. And I think it's delightful in a way that does actually enhance the functionality. Like I said, it's just you don't have to like, you know, go through menus and choose a lot of things. You can just like hit a button and get the effect you want. And yeah, I mean, there's something satisfying about like it being burned up. And so
yeah.
in as much as it actually like lets people delete their data when they want to, like it makes that actually work better for them. It makes it more accessible to them. I think that is probably merging functionality and delight.
Yeah, it's a great example. Yeah, not only have we made it front and center, which makes it really easy to do, which I think people just like because I hear that feedback all the time, but we also it has a visual flair. Like we added a visual element to it. Like when you hit the fire button, you see like you said, literally burning up your tabs, which I think is like
Yeah.
It ends in a has a good ending, has a climactic ending.
Yeah.
Are there any others you want to point out?
Yeah, maybe two at like totally different ends of the spectrum. One is this is like probably doesn't help with the functionality. It's just purely cute in my opinion, and I like it. And I suspect many people haven't realized this, but the shield that we have in the URL bar in our browsers and elsewhere at DuckDuckGo is actually in the shape of a duck foot. Um, I've
Yeah.
always really appreciated that.
I do too.
So,
Yeah, I don't think many people notice, but yeah, I agree. If you do notice, it really, yeah, is a
yeah,
kind of
you
an
can't
Easter egg.
unsee it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can't see it. Perfect.
And then another one at the opposite end of the spectrum, I think, is cookie pop-up blocking. So like this one's weird because we're taking something that you see all the time on the internet that's kind of annoying and not helpful, and we're removing it. And so it's a little tricky to do that delightfully because like how do you make something delightful that people when you're actually like removing, you know, a cognitive experience from how people are using your product. One of the ways, I mean, I do think to some extent, like if you've been in a different browser and you're visiting a lot of sites with cookie pop-ups and you're just like tired of it, I think just, spending a day in our browser and not having that experience is probably delightful to some. But we also did add like a little animation in the URL bar that just kind of shows you that we blocked a cookie pop-up. That I think is like a nice reminder that we remove some friction without putting friction back in front of you and interrupting you because it's just like in the URL bar what you can still interact with the page and so forth.
That's a good example. Yeah, I've always found it tricky because, yeah, you really need to know that we did it to be delightful fully, but you don't want to interrupt people to let you know that you did it because that's another pop up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. So one that I would like us to do eventually, which I keep pulling forward with another hack days, is like various people have made games um, that we could somehow put in the browser, especially in the 404 situation. Um, Flappy Bird is the one that I've seen the most from hack days, and I would love to get that in, but maybe somebody will do that at some point. Any closing thoughts?
Closing thought. Yes, I have one. It is that kind of in trying to navigate like what kind of delight do we want to create? What is actually going to be delightful to the majority of our users? One heuristic that we've used internally that I really like is looking for things at the intersection of delight and trust. DuckDuckGo's vision is to raise the standard of trust online, and I think trust is like one of our greatest assets as a company. And so I think, you know, in the space of delight, you could maybe err by finding things that like are funny to some people or amusing to some people or charming to some people, but they're actually like annoying or self-promotional, and like those things would not build trust. Doing things that are respectful of the user, that are authentically us, that are approachable, that increase transparency. I think those tend to be things that build trust and are delightful. And so that is the filter that I've been trying to put on thinking about how we design things, and I think the team has as well.
I like that. So you put the shield and cookie pop-up management in that bucket?
I think so. I don't know if having a duckfoot shield builds trust. I mean, maybe in as much as it tells you a little bit about just like who we are, and in that
Yeah, I
way.
guess it
And
doesn't. It's because it's not really protection. It'd be more like the animation we have around the shield, where it's like showing you what trackers are blocking,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I think so. I think like another example that maybe is like we encourage feedback from users, and we try to create like open lines of communications with users, and we try to make it really easy to report when something is wrong, and we try to like and we actually read those reports and we act on them, and we like change the product, and we try to be responsive on, you know, Reddit, for instance. You know, which is a place where we can actually like respond to people on like if somebody just sends us feedback through search. But I don't know, that's I think another example like of building trust, and that we're actually like humans behind this thing that care and like want to know if something's going wrong. If we there's things that we've launched that we are excited about, but we know might like disrupt people in some way, and we've like tried to proactively message those and make it really easy to get feedback. So that's one of my favorite examples. It's very product manager of me, I suppose.
No, I think that's great. Okay, cool. Well, let's wrap. I suspect you're going to be back a lot being a host for other things. So I guess a recurring character on DuckTales. So thank you, Via,
Maybe
and
I
we'll
can get
see.
a DAX.
You're alive, so no live people. Um, making me make an exception. But yes, till next time, thank you for tuning in. See you later, everybody.